Hi, my name is Kadambari Santosh. I've been working in the field of travel industry. Of my career of about 20 years, half has been in operations in travel industry and more than half is on basis of training and development. I've been working right now at BCD Travel as a L&D head for India, and prior to that I have been working in different industry streams, if I have to say, for travel, which was airline, GDS, corporates, taking care of learning and development for these places. So if I recollect myself in 9th, 10th, I'm sure even you all may have been experiencing the same what I did. I had no clue of what I would want to do, ideally speaking, and that's very natural at that age. However, I knew that I would go into either science, what I had to take up, because then when I did my 9th and 10th, engineering, medical, computers, there were only 2 or 3 options which everybody around me used to talk about. And so I did choose going in for science. Tried my luck at medical tests, which I didn't go through. So I did my graduation in science. Post that I already developed an interest for, if I say, hospitality industry. So hotels or travels was one of my thoughts then, and or else it would be somewhere in research in science. So I got through doing a travel and tourism diploma. I did my basic training, or if I would say a diploma with Sophia's College post my graduation. So 9th, 10th has been still like a thought, what do I really want to be? So training and development to me occurred right from my first job onwards. So once I decided I want to do my diploma, went through travel and tourism, I got into a corporate management, travel corporate management company. Over the period when I was actually doing operations, operation is kind where you actually issue tickets, take calls from travelers, assist their needs. Eventually I went on to where my manager helped me to move into, say, coaching somebody. So if somebody has new who joined today, to get, take him through or take her through what we do on day-to-day basis. That's how training and development came to me. Post which I was certified as a trainer. So all companies within, or most of the companies within, do have where they take up, like a career progression for people, whoever are their staff, and they go through a train the trainer program kind of a thing. And I got certified there, and there onwards I started doing trainings to the ones who came as new recruits into that company. So training and development as a day-to-day, what it means is anything which, so as an umbrella of training and development, it's huge. So you having your teachers teaching you is also training. So there is teaching, there is training, there is learning and development. So I would have corporate, I would also have institutes, colleges, schools. All of this ideally comes under a learning and development diploma. Not really. 9th and 10th, if you really ask 9th and 10th, ideally you need to only try to develop what kind of interest or what inclination you have. It's very difficult to ideally decide, according to me, at your level of 15 years to know I would want to become so and so. It's not that simple and easy. It's difficult to find out your passion. So if you ask me today, training and development, or doing trainings, or standing and actually talking to people and giving them knowledge, some either job related or non-job related, is my passion, and that I developed over the period, or I realized over the period of time. It was fortunate for me to have somebody who kind of pushed me to a stream where I realized that yes, trainings would be my cup of tea. However, at 9th and 10th, what you may visualize yourself is, does this interest you? Does this interest of standing and have a class of 10 or 12 or 50 and talking to people, giving them information. That's all what you could think right now. Training is to give information. Development is to have somebody, like what I'm doing to you now is development. I'm giving you some feed and you would eventually think about it and start developing. Do I need this, or do I need to go in this stream and something of that sort, or do I like this stream, something of that sort. To give a theoretical answer, so I believe that you need to have passion to do something, and passion doesn't come up to you like overnight and oh, that's my passion. It comes to some people who are as young as 9, 10 sometimes, or it doesn't come even at an age of 30. So theoretically, if you look at training and development as a stream, comes under HR, human resource, because you're dealing with people. So if you're looking at an education perspective and a certification, or what do I actually go ahead and take? Do I take science, commerce, arts? Do I do this diploma? Do I get into this college? If that's your thought, then arts or human resource, organization development, these are the subject names which I may say call, which hold training in it. However, it can also come to like what I did. I didn't do commerce or arts, I did my science graduation. I got into a field where operationally I knew about a product, and eventually, because I was a system matter expert, or you may call as an SME, what they say as a word. SME stands for your expertise of a particular matter or product. Once you have that, you eventually, if you are interested in training, a bit of skill on presentation, bit of skill of how do you talk, skill of your product eventually helps you do trainings. Yeah, so most importantly, you need to deal with people all the time. People of different ages, people of different stratas, different places maybe. You need to have a skill to deal with people, talk to them, understand kind of body language, how I talk, are you interested? So something like how your teachers do, maybe in class, they make you stand up. Hey, hello, what are you doing? Yes, Prashant, what are you doing? You're talking. So as a teacher, she understands whether you're talking, not talking, or wants to pay attention to what you're doing or not doing. So you need to have that kind of inclination to know people. Skill wise, you need to have, so how you do allocation competitions, and take part and talk on a speaker about a topic. So if you're inclined on doing and facing audience, doing some presentation, that's the skill which I would say required, apart from the theoretical skill of when you actually go through what is HR, what is organization development, and so on and so forth. That's your corporate bit. So where I look at skills is, even at a matter if you start off say lecturing in a college, at that point your skills and sets would be again your expertise about a particular subject. Absolutely. So if you ask me, I've just completed 2 of my diplomas simultaneously. So at this age of 20 years, where I have done about 3 certifications on what are required for travel industry, apart from that, n number of TTTs we call, train the trainer certifications. I've just completed an experiential learning diploma. So I'm in learning continuously. It's always a learning bit when you are in this field of training development. You can't stop at that, okay fine, today I know this subject and I can deliver, means I can teach somebody, that's it. So for years, you may have to learn on your own on many other things which come up new. So that's a continuous process. So in case you decide and eventually you find out that you're going in learning and development, it just doesn't start off with, say you did your graduation, you did your certification and you simply get into any of the organization. If you're looking at corporate here I mean, HDFC, corporate is Citibank, or any of these bigger companies like Idea or Reliance, these are called as corporates. Or you go to say a college or a school what you are studying in, your teacher who teaches is also training and development. So if you look at, as I said in the beginning, it's an umbrella. So if you look at a teaching, when I say training and development, if you look at say a teaching stream of this, then a B.Ed education. B.Ed is your education post graduation, that you could do B.Ed and a M.Ed, like you have a B.Com or a M.Com, you must have heard that as commerce, or B.Sc and M.Sc, there's B.Ed. From there you get into a college or school straight, and then you take your classes, and you get your standards, you do your how your teachers do with you. They are taking your classes, then they are doing your assessments, or call them exams. I don't like the word as exams. So assessments, and they take your results and so on and so forth. For corporates, it just doesn't happen that you can do a course and directly go and say there is a job vacancy about learning and development. According to me, it doesn't happen that easy. You need to get into a company. So the third portion, if I say teaching, and there is this training piece, corporate. Another one is where you do behavioral. So training can be anything. It can be process driven. So when I say process, means doing a training for a person who's doing a job. So if he is looking into some banking aspect, he's doing insurance, I believe you would know these words, or as I did, issuing a ticket for a person who wants to go Bombay, London. That's called process training, means how that job can be done. That's process training. So you may get into that as after you have done bit of operations on that. So you don't become a trainer directly, but you need to work on that product. Another portion, as I mentioned, is soft skills, where you are actually looking at training people, which is behavioral. That means then you need to go into a stream a bit different than HR, which is psychology. And then you go into training people on the basis of their behavior, and there are a lot of more bifurcations to it. So if you are looking at this as a career, you'll have to start from doing the actual operations and then go on to the training, is what I would say. You would never get, so if I become a doctor like an MBBS, and then I know I have a job in say Kokilaben hospital or a particular A hospital, and I can be applying as a doctor, they look at my certificate, registration number, and they tell me okay fine, move. But training and development doesn't happen like that. You need to get into a particular corporate or a college or an institute, and then you need to learn what they actually do first and then train people. I was working at BPO. I am not too sure if you all have heard of BPO. Is standing as business process outsourcing. 98-99 was years when the first time in India something came up where airlines has started. So airlines, I'm sure you know, airport, there is a counter, you go check in, do a ticket, or you call the reservations, like how you call Vodafone or Airtel, you'll have calling airline, you have Make My Trip or Yatra, that's Salman Khan's, I think Yatra.com is Salman Khan, yeah, in case you do remember when you look at advertise. So all of this is been, I'm just giving you some bit of knowledge on what a BPO is, because training and development in BPOs is a big time career. If you get into a BPO, into a training and development, you'll have a lot of options, you'll have a lot of opportunities. So I was just giving you a background of what BPO is. So these airlines or a Reliance or a Vodafone, they outsource some of their work to a third party, another company at a lesser rate. Those people start doing their work. So I was in one of these places where British Airways was a BPO of British Airways, and we would have, how you are at 9th and 10th, there would be people who are just graduates and come as a whole lot in like a lot of 25 people together. So that was my first class after I was trained, the trainer certified within the company. So within the company there was a trainer who certified me, and there was a 3 days workshop in the company that taught me how do I do presentation, how do I write on a board, or how do I talk, how do I stand, like how I'm talking to you all of that. And then I had these 25 people sitting in front of me, and I had to actually talk about something which I had done about 2-3 years now, hitting computer, doing a ticket and all. It was thrilling to know people, but trust me, it's always new at every workshop. So today also, if I do a workshop, makes me feel the same jitters as it was in, because every time you do, they are different people, and to handle different people accordingly. There are loads. Some of them, when you are a training person as a learning and development, it's not only that you stand and do a training like a teacher, like a professor, or like what I do. So if I may say, I'm a learning and development specialist. In a broader term, they are called as corporate trainers. So I'm a corporate trainer, doing trainings as process, looking after people who need help, or rather I need to analyze, I need to identify that a person requires training, be it process, means the product what you're actually working on, or behavioral, so how do I talk on a phone or a telephone. So when you actually are doing that, you get n number of different people all around. So like how you all are in 9th and 10th, I was in one of the classes in who had passed out 11th or 12th, doing my teaching about IATA. IATA is a certification which is required for travel and tourism. It's like a internationally known certification required for you to become a professional, to issue tickets or so on and so forth. So these were these bunch of kids like you, if I have to call them, and they come up with their own ideas of how they can actually go ahead. So the first class, I have worked with people of 11, 12 standard. I've worked with people of owners of agency. I've worked with people on managerial or VPs of particular company. It's different. So what I learned, it helped me professionally, is to understand that the age of 19, 20, or you would go another year or two, your thought process is completely different to a person who's sitting at 35, 40. So professionally, if you ask me, interacting with different age people was a professional learning over the years what I did. So there are many instances. There are instances where I had these kids bunking my classes, and once I actually told them it's fine to bunk completely. I'm all okay if you have to bunk those classes. Just let me know if you're interested to continue or not. We'll do 2 classes. We'll decide whether you are interested. If not, then I would like to obviously meet your parents, because they are interested in what you're doing, and eventually I'm interested if you're doing it or not. So kind of a thing which you need to put in. Another one would be where I had an owner of a travel agency, and I had to teach the person, and she was as old as like 50, and I had to teach her how to use computers. Using computers was never what she's done earlier. She's the owner of an agency, she didn't have to do that. But I had to actually teach her the keys and then start how she could go ahead and punch a ticket. Okay, so that was my process training, what I did. So these are different things that from now, if you ask me, these have helped me professionally to understand how people grow. So learning and development happens at every age. Yes, it's a challenge all day. So learning and development as a career comes up with a lot of responsibility, if I may so. So there are all, I wouldn't say the other careers don't have responsibility, but their responsibility is related to that particular work. Here, you are working with people and you are influencing them in each manner. So if I have to tell you today, I remember my school teachers. How much ever you like them or not right now, you might be giving them names. Every class you say, oh no, this professor is bored, this teacher is not teaching. I don't like Hindi because the way she talks. I don't like physics, the math doesn't understand. All of this, but trust me, you'll remember this one particular teacher all your life. So the responsibility of knowing how to deal with people is much, much high at learning and development. Doesn't mean you have to get really scared. It's fun. So it comes to you eventually as and when every session or workshop. When I say session or workshop, like one period of yours, one Hindi period, she must be a new teacher, and I'm sure you must have got known to any teacher who's new and taking a class first time. You must have tried all types of pranks with that teacher. That's her first class. 2 years down the line, if you have seen her and she's different. So that's how it moves as a maturity with your training and development career. So to answer like how do you deal with it, there is some theories which you need to learn. So there are a lot of so psychology, as I mentioned, if you do pursue psychology, you'll understand how do you deal with people. Human resource and organization development, you'll understand corporate wise how people are, how are functions in a particular company. When I say company means you need to identify Vodafone is a company, HDFC is a company, and there are 100 people there and you looking after a training for them. You need to understand what kind of work they do. How do they come to office? How do they travel? All of this plays on the mind of a training and development person who takes care of whether it is a product training, whether you're doing behavioral or another portion like I mentioned, teaching, professor, all of that, then you need to understand students. But if you become a corporate trainer, you are dealing with much more range of people. Like if it's your teacher, she's only dealing with students of 7th standard, 8th standard, 9th standard over the years, and she's known psychology of these people, like how you understand psychology of your professors. That's a very tricky question in this. So maybe of what you have chosen as your career option or your interest, if I say, not an option at this point of time. If you look at a doctor, if you look at an engineer, if you look at an architect, interior designer, I know these fields because these are the ones which I had in my brains when I was schooling and colleging, and there are many more like a photography or sitting on all those computers, so hardware or software, whatever you call them as, they have levels. When I look at learning and development, there is no one certification. As I mentioned, I just finished a diploma of experiential learning. So I'm an experiential educator now. And to tell you, frankly, I'm looking at a next level certification. So if you look at theoretically, going through HR, human resource, organizational development, psychology, that becomes your baseline, how you get graduated in those subjects. Beyond that, you need to find your interest in what stream of training and development you're getting into. So if I'm looking, as I mentioned earlier, if I'm looking at say a school or a college, then B.Ed and M.Ed is your certification, and then your thesis and so on and so forth, and how some of them, I'm not too sure if you'll have even known, there's a doctor so and so, but he's actually not an MBBS, not a doctor or hospital, but they are called doctors because they have done their thesis and they have submitted where they got a doctorate of a particular subject. So that's one stream. Another one on is where like me, corporate trainer. So if I do have had my training and development certification which are organization based, so that particular organization certified me as training. Beyond that, I have done my additional. So in India for training and development, there's one from Delhi University. So if I look at university based certification, there is ISTD, okay, Indian Society for Training and Development, which is ISTD from Delhi University. But you get that certification only after you have been a graduate, after you have worked for a couple of years. You give in like your biodata, they check it that, and then you can go ahead doing that certification. Beyond that, internationally there are a lot of recognized training and development. All of them are institutional certification. So there are loads and loads of institutes who say that become a trainer, we give you. So like today, if I, for example, Mentoria is an institute and they develop a program of 1 year having trainers. So 1 year, and they can develop a soft skill and a process, and they say that we'll give you a certificate. So there would be so many such institutes, and globally you need to be updated all the time of those certifications. So I feel there's no end. There's no this is the topmost certificate, that's it. No, it doesn't happen like that in learning and development. So as a learning and development professional, if I have to say so, I am, I keep always abreast with news related to training and development. So there are forums which you need to get attached to. There are HR forums, okay? There are L&D forums. I'm not too sure at this point. I'm assuming there's something called as LinkedIn, which is obviously at a later stage you will know, because that's more related to corporates. Like how you have Facebook accounts right now, Instagram, and that's very common with you all. Even through Instagram, even through Facebook, there are loads of forums which are there. So that becomes a social idea. Apart from that, there are organizations which are learning and training development based, and you can become member and keep abreast with all. Post that, trust me, as a learning and development field, I can't say that this is it. It's much more, and it's always growing. So now, like what I say, that I can go and conduct or training for a particular thing, whatever the topic is. I can do the same thing on e-learning. E-learning means I go on internet, like how you all learn from YouTube. You can learn anything. Now 9th and 10th, I think I'm sure you've seen Shah Rukh Khan's ad of Byju's. You learn your Pythagoras theorem, physics, maths, whatever online through these classes, through YouTube or whatever. So when I started off, I didn't know there's something like YouTube. I didn't know that I can do online learning. Online means I go on computer, I get enrolled for a particular course and I go ahead and doing it. So I need to put myself in this situation all the time. I need to learn from forums, need to learn from various other I would say streams, means I need to be connected with other trainers to understand. Now, when you look at this as we're discussing about whether it interests you or not, as I mentioned, you can be in one company doing trainings and facilitating process. When I say process, means you get into a company which does, so let's take LIC of India, okay, or as I mentioned earlier, Vodafone, or as a travel industry, Thomas Cook, or I think you must have heard of Kesari Tours and Travels. If you're in that company and you know what the work is, or you know what they sell, everybody sells something, what they sell, and you can become an instructor. When I say instructor, is another word used for trainers. So I can always do trainings for that particular thing all the time, and I can excel through knowing about that stream, that company alone, and that should be still fine, and you're still into learning and development. So corporate trainer is under training and development. So as I mentioned earlier, training and development or learning and development is a very huge umbrella as a word, where training and learning is one single portion and development in another. Now development only comes in corporates, if I have to say so. So learning, training, development, all as a big umbrella. I am a corporate trainer which comes under L&D. I can be a professor which comes under training and teaching. You know, I can be your teacher which will come under training, because I am eventually helping you develop your skills of your theory, of your science or a maths or whichever subjects. When I move on to doing corporate, what I do means I am teaching you something to do your job. So your job is to issue tickets, your job is to do a bank transaction, your job is to take a call, how you call for your Vodafone or Airtel or Tata Sky or the Fire Stick of Airtel nowadays, and you call them and you ask, okay fine, how much is this for? Or maybe an online Amazon.com, and they have a team behind and you need to train them on a product what they sell. So all of that comes under learning and development. So corporate training comes under more wider perspective where development comes. What do you mean by development? Means apart from teaching them what they have to do as a job, I'm also looking at how they behave in a company. Are there things which I can help them of how? So I'm not sure your parents, if they are working, they are attending meetings. So what do you do in meetings? Am I listening to my manager? Is my manager telling me something? Am I understanding something? This is beyond what you do as work. So I also help in training people. How do I listen into? How do I particularly understand how to manage people and so on and so on. I don't think so. I don't think it will be as a threat, though as a learning and development, training and development all means the same. You don't have to get confused. There is not only that you stand in a class and teach or train or do a workshop. There are a lot of other aspects of learning and development, like if what I am teaching you, say for whatever I was speaking right now, for example, I had to make a content of it. Content means, so you have your textbooks right now, it has been written or collated by somebody. That also comes as learning and development. So before you actually train, you need to also have what you're going to train. So that portion is called content development. That comes under learning and development. So even if you are doing an automation, as I mentioned earlier, that I will take up a course online, okay, and for that online course there has to be a content already put up online on the website. Only then will you be able to see it. So doing that content also comes under learning and development. So automation, changing or a threat for L&D is a short form, doesn't really hold good to me, because at any point of time trainings are never going to be out, and me as a person being training you all, hypothetically if we say that I am a trainer, will always remain a requirement at any point of time. So if I am looking at training a class or training an individual, of course training an individual becomes a bit of another stream of L&D. So L&D is huge. I mean, I have been told here to talk about learning and development, which is really, really big. So I'm talking about per se only a trainer. So if I look at trainer and I need to remember, or I need to first have preparations done. I can't just walk into a class, a session or a workshop without knowing who I'm going to train. I need to know exactly who my participants or students or my whole audience, I may call, are. I need to know their background, what they are, what ages they are, maybe what do they do, are they from this company. So if I am looking at, for example, in my company, and I am looking at a class where I have 12 of them who are staff in that company, I already suppose know them that these are from this department, this is the work they do, this are the age group they are in, and what's expected after the training out of them. So whatever I kind of teach them or train them, I need to understand all of this. Know your audience, know what they come from, what is the topic. That's one portion across. For myself, we need to prepare. I mean, you can't go without any preparation for any session. Preparation starts from how do I greet them, when will I do the topic, when will I give them a break, when do I conclude, and then be ready with the questions what you're going to ask me. So there will be obviously questions that they ask. So one of the experience I had where one of the students who was sitting through, it was weird. He had, why do you do what you do? He just asked me, why are you here and why do you think you have to teach us? Why do you think that you know better than me? Of course, he didn't mention these words, but that's exactly what he meant. That I am here sitting and you are teaching me something, but I already know this. So you need to be ready with such kind of questions also. So my simple answer is passion, and especially for learning and development, you need to know why do you do what you do. And that comes to any of these professions. Even as students, why do you do what you do is simply because I need percentage, because I want to get into a particular college. So why I train people? Because I like meeting every day different people. I like talking, I like interacting with people, and somewhere I feel I have some system or matter expertise of what I have been doing for 10, 12, 18 years, and I can share that knowledge, and that's the reason I do what I do. So to start off, it's again quite varied. It's not a big time money, very frankly, when you start off, because as instructors you can get paid anytime. Instructor or a trainer to reach a level what I am is corporate training or managing a whole learning and development of a particular organization. So it's like you need to start off from scratch here. You can never go. It's in same for any particular profession. You need to start off from scratch of actually conducting classes. So those classes, depending upon what you take up, are you going to a classes, teaching or college? It will be a basis of whether you are monthly paid, whether you are paid on lecture wise. That comes at teaching way. If I look at corporate, then obviously you get into a job which is monthly paid. And to start off, I'm not too sure. I started as small as I think some 7,000 bucks a month. That was 7,000 rupees was my salary then, once a month. It grows twofold, threefold as and when you grow, depending which stream are you training in. So if I look at a BPO or training a corporate, training a behavioral, nowadays I guess something ranging from 15,000, 20,000, 30, 35, 40, it increases. But it's a substantial growth, and financially as this, yes, it's good. Very frank, doing learning and development, as I mentioned, I love to stand in a class and do. However, I don't get that chance anymore because I have trainers who do my, who report to me and who do trainings. And there's a whole portion of analysis. Data means, say for example, you are like 40 students in your class. Your teacher teaches you at the end of the year. You have some formative assessments, summative assessments, and then there's a whole lot she has to keep a track of. Oh, he got 30 out of 50, he got 35, he got 40, and that whole thing has to be managed by her. All the notebooks that she has to correct. This is your school teaching. Similarly, corporates, we do trainings, there are assessments, there are observations that you have to do. That is the person doing a good job correctly, not correctly, and you need to monitor, report, keep a track of, and keep all those things. So there's something called as MIS, okay, management information about the whole data, which you need to also look at as learning and development. So if you are a trainer, after the training session, who attended, who enrolled but did not come, did they do well? After a month, are they doing the same job or not? All of that has to be tracked by a trainer. So that's your another portion and a piece of training which you need to do. Analysis, identifying whether a person requires or not. Teaching, training, standing is what I definitely love about, because you're interacting. When it comes to behind computers, sitting and actually looking at those Excel sheets, I don't like that portion, very frankly. I still grumble about it. It's called where you have people to do it. So I'll have a person who collates all that data, and the word is called as Learning Management System, LMS. That's a software where you add, okay, 10 people attended, 5 didn't attend, this is what they got, and all of that. So that's one portion which if you ask me frankly, I don't like it. If I say learning and development can't be a time-bound activity, it's a time-bound activity only for that session. For that session, I know 5 hours. So one of the session which I conducted outdoor was over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. From morning of Saturday till Sunday, there's a whole bunch of managers which were taken out, and they had to be, going through some activity outside. That means like a playground of a football. They played a match. We played a game. All of that also comes under learning and development. It's a different corporate training through them doing a particular activity. So I think even schools nowadays do that. For you to understand a portion or a concept of physics, you actually don't learn it, but you do something and then, like an experiment done and so this way. So time bound, no, you can't be really time bound. You need to be available, if I say 24/7. So there have been times where I've done night shifts, and I have actually trained people on night shift because the work time starts in the night. So you need to do night shift. Pursuing somebody what you want to do, I feel anywhere, whichever you do, if you have that inclination to do, you'll take out time for doing it. So if you ask me right now, I came for doing this, talking to you all. I kind of managed some time at my office to come here in this particular time given, or the following week I pursue dance. So I go my dance classes, which was always there. So it took a while for me to adjust those timings to come to these classes. So if you ask for timings, no, there are no timings. So you need to be ready with 24/7 kind of thing. It comes with a lot of responsibility. However, there's, with regards to a satisfaction of what you do in your life, I feel this career would give you a load of satisfaction, for the simple reason I know I'm going to be remembered as a trainer by whoever has been trained for me for years, or maybe for lifetime. Like, I don't forget, or I haven't forgotten my teacher in school. You would not forget a particular trainer, whether you like or you don't like. People don't forget their trainers, and that's the reality. So I had recently one of the students who bumped into me, or a participant, and she actually started talking to me. Just a previous organization which I was working at, I was taking care of. I was managing a department of 400 for trainings, and she came up actually there as a trainer. You know, she came up into my department as a trainer. She started talking to me, and I'm looking at her, and I'm bad at names, very frankly. That's something which you shouldn't be as a trainer, but I could recognize her somewhere that, you know, this face is familiar. And she's like, you know what, Kadambari, you trained me like 10 years back, and I'm looking at her blankly and like, oh, okay. So that's that moment where she told me that I remember you, Kadambari, and you taught me this, makes you feel most proud person on the earth. And that's why I think this is the greatest career what you should be.